It's about having the employee at the forefront about their well-being and what we can do as an employee for that person. We had a really clunky process in place where, as we rapidly grew in terms of workforce as well, we had no clear process. So nobody really knew how to report their absence for the instance. A lot of things were going unnoticed and underlying. So we kind of researched quite heavily into how we can manage that, and we put a team together, and thankfully it worked out absolutely positively. So yeah, we had a really good response from our employers.
Most companies have some sort of policy, some sickness policy, but the consistent approach to actually running that policy is often absent. Excuse the pun, but they want to use they're using paper forms to complete return to work processes. They're completing spreadsheets, they're sending emails, they're doing various things in terms of doctor's notes that might be on forms that go in a filing cabinet. And all these manual approaches fail because normally they're not very simple. And when there's not simple, people are too busy to do them quite often because, oh, well, that person's back in the office now, let's just crack on, as opposed to completing the process, which would give them the intelligence that they actually need to maybe do something about it in the future.
Sickness absence was really managed in almost an anecdotal way. I used to receive at the end of the month a board pack which had, this was how many days absences we had within the company in the month, but there was no detail there. There was no trending, whether it was in particular departments. It was very anecdotal. And when I went to speak to the management team, they'd all have a story of such and such is always ill. And that, it was very anecdotal and there was no detail behind it. And it's really that sort of need to put in place to get some of this data that just clears away a lot of that noise so that you can then deal with the facts.
I would say that one of the challenges is keeping this process simple and making sure that if you don't keep things simple, you're going to struggle with compliance. So making sure that simplicity is embedded within the organization will really help people like Paul spot those trends of patterns of behavior, because the data is actually getting inputted in the first place.